You just finished attending your first conference and now it's time to go home. As you're packing your things and trying to make your flight, it's very easy to forget about all the new things you learnt, not to mention any new contacts you've met along the way. How can you make sure that all the things you learned aren't forgotten and that you get the most out of your conference experience when you return home? If it's your first time here, my name is Jack Wayne. I'm a microbiologist, science educator, and the 2020 Australian University Teacher of the Year. I'm in Adelaide at the moment, having just wrapped up a day of events. I met some amazing teachers from all across Adelaide universities and presented the keynote address at their awards ceremony. So it's been a great event so far. And as I'm wrapping up things on my end and getting ready to go home, I need to make sure that all of the fleeting moments of network building that I experienced during this trip aren't lost. So let's talk about how to be more strategic in making sure that your conference presentation translates into something concrete for your professional development. So first things first, how do you get the contact details of all the people that you connected with during the meeting? Well, hopefully you've already exchanged details, but in case you missed it, you can often contact the conference organizer for a list of attendees and their email addresses. Normally that's part of the registration process. That's really easy. A lot of conferences use apps these days to register all their attendees too. So if you log into the app, the details should all be there, and that's a quick move to get the details in case you missed a connection along the way. Getting contact details is actually the easy part, and depending on who you're trying to contact, you need to have a mix and match approach. If it's a student or a peer, I think just be as casual as you like, provided that it's professional, social media, you do your thing, you know how to approach it. But if it's a more senior member of management or staff you're trying to connect with, you might need a more considered approach. So if it is a more senior member of staff you're trying to connect with, then a light touch really works best. Follow them on LinkedIn and Twitter or whatever professional networking app and just see what they're up to. And you can send a follow-up email if you like, but if they're very senior people like provost, vice chancellors, deputy vice chancellors, their inbox will have a lot of unread emails that you don't want to just add one more to that list. You've got to wait for the right time. And really, if you follow them on those professional networks, it's likely they might follow you back. And when you post things regularly to those channels, that increases the chance they will see what you're up to. And that's all I'm after, just more visibility for my work with more senior staff in management. In terms of timing, when should you actually make the approach? I think you have two options. The first one is during the meeting itself, during the downtime, make the connection right then and there. Everyone is already primed to think about that at the meeting, and you should be able to get the contact details and exchange information really, really quickly. The other option is to wait a week. Often people are still trying to travel back home, and you don't want them to receive your email while they're on a connecting flight, and you're just going to be overlooked. So I think you have those two options, right at the conference or waiting a week. So then the game plan here is to give yourself a 12-month window to make that connection into one that's productive and real for both of you. 12 months is enough time for projects to come out, for grants to be announced, for papers to be published, and for the next round of conferences to be organized. If within 12 months you haven't really made anything productive, time to revisit your strategy overall. You can think about if you want to leverage your supervisor a bit more in that connection, maybe use them to facilitate that initial approach, and use your supervisor's connections to your advantage and try and set something up. And so this concludes my first interstate trip in over 2 years. I think it's time to put all these tips I've just mentioned into practice. People have already been very direct and have already made contact with me after the meeting, so that's terrific. I'm going to follow that up straight away after I get home. This is the BioLab Collective. I'm Jack Wayne, and I'll see you in the next video.